afternoon. My name is Stephanie Hinkle, Bosley educator and artist, here to go over with you how to enhance these beautiful waves, curls, or coils for your hair. Today we're going to be introducing the Men to Extend into our collection, but first let's go over how do we identify these beautiful curls. Typically when your guest comes in, they come in with hair like this, or they're coming in with a ponytail, a little two-strand twist in, so we really don't know how to discover what is actually in the hair. So a pro tip I want to offer you is when your guest comes in, because it's challenging again to identify when it's in a dry relationship, to take a little water bottle, go ahead and mist the hair down using your hands. Do a nice little comb through, because what's going to happen here is we're going to start to encourage the curl by going in and give it a little scrunch here. So you're seeing some more of that wave pattern come in, and this helps identify what kind of curl pattern you're going to be working with behind the chair, or even if your guest didn't even know that they had any curls in their hair or waves, this is how they can see that little bit of wave and movement in it. Now that we have an idea of what our guest is working with, we will start them off at the shampoo bowl, working with our shampoo and conditioner with the Men to Extend. It's a beautiful strengthening system that's going to add hydration, strength, as well as seal in the moisture and create longevity. So after you do a nice, beautiful shampoo and condition on your guest, what you would like to do is go ahead and put the guest in 5 standard segments. This is one of my favorite sections to do because this is something that you can also teach your guests to do at home. So I'm starting out with a nice, either a horseshoe or a nice little mohawk section right here at the top of the head, starting at that recession point, going all the way around to the recession point. So think about recession point to recession point, including in some of this crown area, because that's where you want to see some volume take place at. So I'm using a rat tail comb in doing so. She was properly detangled after. And this is one thing I love about working with this wavy and nice loose wave, is because when they're in your chair, a lot of times they're like, I don't have any wave, because when you're seeing me work through this section, you're seeing that her hair appears to be straight. But prior to when we did our consultation, you saw that just a little bit of water just really enhanced. And we're seeing a lot of bend and movement even pop open with this. After I got that halo section out, or again this mohawk section out, I'm gonna start right here around the mastoid process, which lands right behind the ear, and divide this from the occipital bone as well as from the nape area. Clipping this out of the way. She is nice in. So this clip can go into a nice Zulu knot, retaining the moisture, very loose twist, because we're going to be going back in for our styling, clipping everything up and out of the way. Repeating this on the opposite side, again starting right behind the ear at that mastoid process, using my finger pointer to pointer. Make sure I get the hair all in my hands, and even as I'm moving through the hair and sectioning, I'm moving with intention, making sure I have everything nice and controlled, because the number one thing that our guest always says is frizz. And everything, again, is going to start at the bowl, working with the proper shampoo and conditioner, but even how you're going through and sectioning the hair can start agitating the hair a little bit more. So I want to make sure that everything I work with and everything I do is moving with intention to work with this hair strand. No matter if you're working with straight, wavy, or curly, just being intentional to keep all of the tangles and the knots out of the way. From there, I'm going to go from the top of the ear to the top of the ear, or at that low occipital bone in the nape area, do a nice little division point here, and isolate here in the crown, low crown to occipital, high, medium, and low occipital area. Again, keeping in mind any kind of tangles, and if I feel a tangle, working from the bottom. Now we're here, and I know sometimes we're like, don't comb your curls. I can't make your curls go away, so don't worry. You can brush them, comb them, only in a wet relationship. So while they're wet, you can have all the fun you want to. Zulu knotting this out of the way. Taking my clip, clipping it right at that tail here. Sections nice and clean, and again we have 5 sections, starting here at the occipital bone, at the crown area, and that recession point, going to this temporal area right behind the mastoid division, and then also this execution of the occipital bone down to the nape. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. we're gonna be starting our sectioning and our styling off from the front, and then we're gonna work our way back. When you're doing your guest sectioning, I like to start off here with my guest lean back, especially when I'm working with a looser wave or even some of my spirals to really help encourage the curl. That gravity working against me really keeps the weight off the scalp and creates some openness at the base. You see how I'm going in and I'm really making sure this section is saturated. I really want to make sure the number one thing is hydration when you're working with waves, curls, and coils. So making sure the hair is completely saturated, going in, doing a soft detangle, and we can already see some bends and movements take place in the hair. Now, when you're working with your guests, keeping the end in mind is number one when you're working with them. So if you're choosing to start off, you want to work with a primer or something like a cushion. Number one cushion is going to be the water, and then I'm going to go in with a leave-in treatment. I'm choosing to work with the Mend Extend leave-in treatment. It has hyaluronic acid, it has Red Sea algae, it also has tar seed, and I'm really working it from the mid-shaft to ends. It's going to help lock in and seal in the moisture, as well as help strengthen it with the collagen from the Red Sea algae. And the tar seed is going to help seal down and lay down this cuticle. So my first thing is applying a primer or also a cushion on the hair. That can be a leave-in conditioner. It can also be the water itself when I'm working with this. And once I have this in her hair, now I want to choose if I'm looking for a softness or if I'm looking for more longevity working with a hold. When doing so and making this decision, a cream is going to give you moisture. It's going to allow in a level of softness and a little bit of definition when you're working with it. When you're working with a gel, you're going to get a stronger hold. So you're gonna see more of that cast take place. And I'm working with more of a gel with a medium hold, and I'm applying it from mid-shaft to ends. So I'm really going in and massaging this hair with the product. I'm gonna take my wet brush or detangling brush to go in, really make sure that there's a nice even consistency taking place within the product, going through. And then I'm gonna go in and give it a nice little rake and shake when I'm working with this. Going in and encouraging the curl by giving it a nice squeeze, and look at those ringlets start to come open. Going for my next section, work with what you can. Don't overdo it. And I'm working right now in this nape area, so that's about a 2-inch section. I can do this when I'm working with this particular guest, work with bigger sections. She does have a high amount of density, and look at those beautiful ringlets come to life. I'm going now into my occipital area, and I'm gonna break this section down, working with my fingers. And she does have a high porosity of hair, so her hair absorbs moisture really quick, but it also dries really fast. So I'm going in, making sure, really making sure this hair is nice and saturated from base all the way to the mid-lengths to ends. Keeping that gravity going, working with the hair strand. I'm starting with my primer, and my primer is going to be the Mend Extend leave-in treatment. Massaging this through the hair, mid-shaft to ends. And then I'm going to go in with my styler, and I'm choosing to work with a volumizing gel that has a medium hold. Starting off with about a quarter size amount, massaging it through my hands as if it was lotion, so it's on both sides of my hands. Starting working from the mid-length to the ends is going to be really important. I don't want to put any product on her scalp because it's going to weigh down the hair. And typically when you're working with loose to wavy, as well as a tighter curl, they have a lot of flatness that lives there already. So what we want to do is encourage it, and a little bit of oil buildup on the scalp. We want to encourage that not to happen and give the volume and lift that we're going with. So I'm going in. I have my styler and my primer on, going in, massaging it in with my cutting fingers, and I'm looking for a nice glass-like finish. A thing our guest always complains about is having dryness and frizz. So when you're going in and doing the proper product application, this helps really lay down the cuticle. And when I feel that cuticle laid down, and I see this nice glass-like finish on the hair, and I see the cuticle laying down, and I don't feel any roughness take place, that lets me know that my curls are ready to go, and I can give it a nice little shimmy, shimmy shake as we take place. Continuing this up the hair, I'm in my segment 2, or section 2, which is where that occipital bone lives, going back in, re-saturating the hair. My guest is comfy with a little towel underneath her neck. There are chairs available that you can tilt the hair back, and they can like lay down like they're in a nice little massage chair. So whatever's gonna be conducive between you and your guest, this can again be done sitting up. I like this particular technique, lean back a little bit, almost like a little song, lean back with it. I love it, lean back, her hair lean back when I'm going in and doing this application again, because of that flatness that can typically take place. So I'm getting a natural lift and elevation where I need it to go. Applying my primer to equalize the porosity in the hair, create some softness, as well as locking and sealing in the moisture from the water, because that's really where we're getting our moisture from, and everything else is a sealant. And now I'm gonna go in with my styler, again, choosing to work with gel, because I do want more longevity with this medium hold gel. Rubbing it into my hands like lotion, and I'm applying it to mid-length to ends. Again, staying away from the base. On wavy to loose textures, and even a nice little tighter curl, almost thinking about like Shirley Temple, their curl doesn't typically start till about 1 inch to 2 inches away from the scalp. And that's really important to note, because that's why you see, like, if you're like, I didn't even know I ever had curly hair, because when they grow out, how it's growing out, it appears to be straight until they get to the mid-lengths. So when I'm working with my guests, I educate them on how can we do this and recreate this at home, making sure they're really laying down and they're feeling the hair, feeling their own hair, and they're seeing and feeling the cuticle lay down, because you can feel it. And letting them know that once this hair sets, that's it. It's a nice little, like how it sets is how it's going to be. So however it looks wet, it's how it's going to appear dry, maybe with a little bit of shrinkage, but shrinkage is not bad. And when you're working with curlier patterns, or when you're working with looser patterns, I apologize, working with looser patterns, they're looking for more curl encouragement due to the weight and the looseness in the hair. So we want to work with lighter weight moisturizers on the hair, which is why I love the Mendixon leave-in treatment for my primer. And we're seeing these curls bounce to life. And then I'm gonna work on my side in that temporal area where I sectioned off, bringing all of this hair back. They're nice and comfy, getting their zen on, hopefully taking a nice little nap here. Again, water is going to be your first cushion. We want the hair nice and saturated. Going in secondly with your primer or leave-in treatment to really lock in and seal in the moisture, as well as encourage that definition. And once we start seeing that definition take place, going in with your styler, and your styler can again be a foam or a cream, which is going to give them day one, on day one hair, give them day 2, day 3, a lot of volume, a lot of softness, not so much of that curl cast that typically our wavy and curly friends want to run away from, but they're going to have a softer hold, but they're not going to get as much shelf life out of it. So this is why I'm choosing to work with a gel, or even encourage my guests to work with a gel within their product regimen. Going in, I'm going to separate this as I'm bringing this back, giving a nice little wiggle as I comb down, massaging this, really getting a hold of those little nice baby hairs and hairlines. Going in, a little shimmy shake, scooping with my hand just to encourage this curl a little more. And if you hear that nice little squeegee or scrunch, that is a great sign that we have a nice matte balance of moisture in the hair. Working on my other side. So it's a nice little rinse repeat that we're doing here. Water, again, when your hair is thirsty and dehydrated, or if they ever say it's dry, this is what they're missing. They're missing the natural water. If they're ever saying, hey, I'm missing, or when I go outside, I'm dealing and experiencing frizz, it's because the hair is looking for moisture and water. And the cuticle is gonna open up due to every little bend and movement in the hair. So keeping these things in mind of what's happening, we're working with the hydrogen bond. So the hydrogen bond looks for heat and moisture. With every bend and movement in your curls, there's going to be a lifting of the cuticle, which is releasing the natural nutrients in the hair, as well as it's taking away the moisture and releasing the moisture out of the hair. So when you're working with a gel within your regimen, this really seals down and locks in everything that was taken out to give you more longevity, to have more moisture retained in the hair a lot longer, as well as working with a pH balanced shampoo and conditioner that helps support the growth as well as sealing down the cuticle over time, so you will have less moisture, less frizz challenges, because we can't make frizz go away due to the bends and movements in the hair, but we can control it, and that's one big thing. And if you're looking to have volume in the hair, that frizz actually works for us, not against us. We just need to be intentional of how we do so. So now that I'm in here at the very top part in my last segment here on the top, the crown areas where we want to see all of that va-va-va-voom. So I'm breaking this hair down, starting in the crown area. Do a soft detangle, starting from the bottom. Now we're here, really working your way up, and you can go horizontally, or you can work with the hair strand and go down at a vertical to easily detangle this hair, working from both sides. Going back in water, and this is something I tell my guests to do. They can easily do this in the shower. After which I'm gonna go in with my primer, which is going to be the Mend Extend Leave-In treatment, applying from mid-shaft to ends, really pushing that through. And if you see any kind of splash zone, that is a good sign. So don't be afraid, it's all good. We're working with water-soluble products, and I'm working with the medium Hode styling gel, massaging it through my hands, starting from the mid-shaft to ends. Again, not placing it on the base. So I'm about, depending on where I see that curl start, is where I'm gonna apply my gel or apply my styler on their hair. Really going in, top, sides, giving them a little shimmy, shimmy, shake here. And then I wanna go in and encourage by scooping it up intentionally and really opening up this curl. If I want a little bit of a looser or more separation in the curl, I can just go in with my fingers and separate those thicker pieces and then go up and encourage. We're gonna keep this section going. So I started off at a vertical here, or horizontal here on the top here, and now I'm gonna go at a slight diagonal back, so almost creating a little herringbone. And I'm doing this to create a little bit more of division in diffusion when I actually style out her curls. So that way I can part it any way I want to. It doesn't have a stationary part. My guest does enjoy having a center part, which I love. But if she ever wants to flip it to the side, she doesn't have to work against anything. It'll go wherever she wants it to go. So these are some options that you can do, and it helps encourage that volume a little bit more. And again, we're seeing some hang time. We're seeing that lift off, working my mid-shaft, my mid-lengths to ends, really massaging this product through. I do have my detangling brush on hand, so picking your favorite detangling brush really to enforce and push in this product a little more. Again, I'm looking for that glass-like effect, and I'm looking to make sure that the cuticle is laying down here. Going here at the top, on the sides, top, sides, little shimmy, shimmy. We're not going to break, and encourage. So remember, loose, wavy, or a nice soft spiral curl typically needs this level of encouragement, not so much elongation. They want to see some of this lift off and take off on their hair. going at a nice diagonal back, nice V shape, creating that herringbone feel, applying my water and my primer. She's already detangled, but just enforcing this product in the hair. And now I'm going to go in with my styler. And when you're working with gels, you can typically get about up to 3 to 4 days out of your style, especially working on this particular curl pattern, if you're supporting it with a nighttime regimen as well. So think about the nighttime regimen when we're talking to our guests and how that is going to play a role. Again, massaging it with my thumb, massaging it with my cutting fingers, which is my pointing, my middle fingers, really feeling the hair lay down, feeling for that glass-like effect. We don't want no frizz, the jetted F word. Give it a little shimmy shake. Encourage it along the way to help support. I feel like we're Houdini here. Like, do we have curls? Yes, we do. Now, the big thing too is if your guest identifies their hair as waves, please honor what your guests say, because it is a little wave. So think about Swiftie, Taylor Swift. Not every guest enjoys their hair to be called curls, even though we may see them that way. And they also may identify their curls or their hair pattern, their curl pattern and movement as being a 2A all the way to a 2C. And that just means for your guests that they have a looser wave, and that with the number, they have a wave moving up to a stronger curl. But with each letter, it represents the texture, which is fine, medium, or coarse, as well as it represents the strength in that particular wave that they're working with. So the number identifies the wave or curl pattern, and the letter represents the texture, fine, medium, or coarse, as well as how much strength is in that wave, because it can get stronger with every bend and movement that we're working with. You can do the same technique on your curly or coily guest. How you would approach this would probably, you would not go in, have them lean back. You can do this more in a sit-up version because of how you would set it, but you would still go in and doing this nice. So right before, since we did work with a gel, I do enjoy working with a foam, and Bosley has a great revive thickening treatment that I do enjoy putting on the hair right afterward. What it does is create a nice little softening in the cast, and I like to scrunch that in right after I do that nice little squeegee, we can call it, of hair. It has panthenol in it, so it definitely helps support the volume in the hair, and as well as feel free to work with some nice clips to create some more lifting action at the base here to create more volume. So really going in, placing your shampoo set clips or regular clips throughout the hair, or where we want to see that volume take place on the scalp. Before we're diffused. Starting your guest off leaning back, working on medium heat, low airflow, and working down the hair shaft. So we want to start at the base, doing a nice hovering technique to really get the moisture out of the hair. All of the moisture from the scalp is going to penetrate down the hair shaft. So once we get the base or the scalp nice and dry, then we'll go back in and encourage this curl to come out a little bit more. The drying time of this can be anywhere between 30 minutes and an hour. A pro tip that you can do here is sit your guest underneath the dryer for approximately 20 minutes to get the moisture out of the base, and then go back in for the remaining 15-20 minutes and diffuse. really taking your time. And what we're doing here is, again, closing down the cuticle. So we're going with the cuticle flow, going down, not lifting up, because if we go up, we're going to open up the cuticle, creating frizz, and that's what we do not want to do in this moment. If you're in the salon and you don't have a hooded dryer and you have a teammate available, this is a great opportunity to tag team back again, or if you have two blow dryers, double whammy. A nice little hover around, going down. Heat is going to be your best friend, and we want the hair to be nice and set. So 100% dry before we go in and do any kind of manipulation. Before I go in to do any curl encouragement, what I look for is to make sure the hair is about 70 to 80% dry. So that way I know I've set a beautiful curl cast over top of her hair. So when we soften the cast, we don't have to worry about that frizz, but we're getting a nice explosion of curls and softness as we go through. Starting from the base, hovering down, starting from the base, hovering down. This could be a good opportunity for your guest to take a nice little nap here. Medium heat, high. Medium heat, low airflow. You want to control it nice and steady. So think about the tortoise in the hair. Slow and steady wins the race. And if you thought like 30 minutes to an hour to blow dry hair, think about when we do our round brush. It's equivalent at the same time, but we're doing a lot more moving. So if you ever time yourself doing a round brush set or extra body blowout on someone, it's equivalent to the same time. We just don't have that little moment to always constantly be moving our hands and setting and pinning. So the same thing is happening, but this one is a little bit lower in that watching paint dry moment. So very much. We just went over and went through how to properly execute wavy to loose as well as spiral curls on your beautiful guests. Starting off with how do you go in to actually identify the curls, knowing that you do that in a wet relationship, but you can also do that behind the chair, going in and executing how to properly work with a primer as well as going in with your styler. And then last but not least, we went in and diffused and styled her out beautifully. I also demonstrated a few pro tips for you if you want to go ahead and curl train, how you can work with your favorite styler as well as teaching your guests until those curls really enhance and want to flourish properly, and they will do so over the next 3 months with a consistent regimen for your guests. I thank you so much. My name again is Stephanie with BosleyMD, and it was a pleasure working with you this evening.